Looks like I'm back up now. That was bizarre. Looks like I'm back up now. Alright, just gonna fix a couple things here. I have no idea what happened there. Yeah, should be back online and operational. I'm just taking a quick peek to see if my hard drive filled up or something. Nope. That's the first disconnect I've experienced. Yeah, I seem to have all of my issues with my computer, with my internet, with the power, whenever I'm in the abyss. It's just the way she goes. Yeah, I mean, loot here, fresh character. I mean, it doesn't. It's going to be hard to beat the Abyss. Very, very difficult. Yeah, part of the Abyssal Air Career Program mission is to kill Triglavians, so I'll end up having to do more than 5 runs to complete that, I believe. Especially when you're only getting a single Damavik in a room. Yeah, and I agree with that, Gitch. I'm trying to think of all of the options here. I have seen a lot of apprehension around doing the Abyss, more so from like pseudo veteran players than new players, but I say that because if I was a brand new player, and right now if all I wanted to do was mine to make money, I would definitely go do it in Pochven. So I think there's different ways to do all of the starter activities. I want to explore those options too. And I always tell people Abyss is where it's at for consistent money, but if I can prove myself wrong there, or find some alternative paths, I'd be happy. Dan, right now I'm doing zeros for the career program. So this is day 2 that I've sat down and played on the character. So probably got about 4 hours of gameplay in so far. I think with current skill points, T1s with this Jackdaw I'd have to change the fit a bit. Certainly would be doable. I don't know about T2s in the current fit. I'd probably have to run the fit that Gustav has in Abyssal Lurkers, or make something a little blingy. My main concern about T2s, I know I could fit it tanky enough. I don't know with current skills how I would feel about the damage output. Bratting in a C2. I've done something very interesting. No, these are exotics, just for the damage bonus on kinetic. That being said, if I was pushing to T2, I would probably do electrics, yeah. Need that capacitor boost. Jackdaw is can apply any damage, so. Well, Gitch, it's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the things that I did when I was kind of addicted to gas huffing is I made this is back before barges could huff gas, and so things were a lot different. But I had a Gnosis. Excuse me one second. I had a Gnosis that it was fit with an oversized micro warp drive. It was fit with overdrive injectors. It was fit with sensor boosters, drone link augmenters, gas huffers, and then mining boost. And then I had my Ventures all fit up with gas huffers. And what I would do is this Gnosis would be able to kite the rats off of the gas sites, the sleepers, and kill them, just outrun them entirely with this oversized micro warp drive. That way I could use the same 3 characters to huff gas and then have a character that would clear the sleepers. And the Gnosis is actually, or was, really good for that role because I could set it up with boosts for the gas huffers, and it was cheap, had scanning bonuses, but it was a very niche fit. But for a while, I was addicted to huffing gas when I saw how lucrative it was. Yeah, that's my concern too, Gitch, is skills for T2. Um, right now, skills are going to be pretty low. I've got the 1 million free skill points that you get. Whereas total skill points, I only have 1.5 million. So I am. I have another goal in this character. I'm trying as hard as I can to never die. So I am apprehensive to go into twos just yet. Wormhole gas is trash right now. Really? Why is that? Over farmed, or is it like industry changes? Yep, I agree. I think DPS will be the main issue. I don't even have T2 rockets or missiles yet. I would certainly want to get at least missile spec 3 and some of the missile application skills before I go into T2s. There are a lot of missile application skills, so I've got a couple of them up to 3, but and then of course missing a lot of the core skills for capacitor, speed, right? All of these things that equate to you being more passively tanky, survivable. One thing really nice about T0s is the amount of T0 filaments they drop. So I probably won't have to dock back up or go back to Jita to get the filaments I need. Just run any T0 in this fit. Okay, yeah, so 13 out of 30 Triglavian entities. Just kind of make this a floating window so I can play and look at it at the same time. So Abyssal Dead Space is going to be easy to knock out. What do I have? Loyalty points is spend loyalty points. Okay, that's an easy one. Increase standings to 1.0, so basically unlock level 2s. Combats destroy things, that'll go passive. Bounties go passive. This Enforcer career is going to be taken care of pretty well. Duels. This is a weird one to unlock for a lot of people. If anyone in chat wants to duel me 15 times, we can both knock it out. Wormhole gas was used for new faction ships, but they changed that. New things you get from faction mission running. Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting how every item in the game in EVE is effectively, you know, like a stock on the market, where I have to wonder, you know, when you're at the upper echelon of EVE and you have CSM members, big null blocks, how much of their money making is derived from predicting future changes or being aware of future changes and what items are going to go up and down in price, and positioning themselves in the market based on that. Because I have a feeling that a lot of that comes to play. One of the kind of famous industrialists or whatever, there's a YouTube video talking about some guy that does all this indie. First thing out of his mouth was that he was talking about Power BI, which is a program that allows you to, connect data sets and essentially create dashboards off of databases to glean insights. And, so as soon as I saw that, it's like, okay, the guys at the very, very top of industry are certainly looking at the game in a different way than people would imagine. These are the same skills that people use for day trading, for marketing, market manipulation. And the game you're playing has an official Microsoft Excel add-on. I think it was the guy that makes Jump Freighters. I don't recall his name, and I didn't even watch the whole video. All I had to hear was Power BI, and I just knew, like, okay, yeah, this guy is literally taking data analysis and applying it to Eve, the Eve market. I mean, I think it's awesome. I've been working on some third-party tools for Eve. Eve's really cool. An open Swagger interface for you to interact with the entire game's API. So, as someone who's learning software at a more intimate level right now, Eve is a perfect game for me. I actually have to kind of brush myself up with Excel and Power BI myself. So being able to go download Eve data sets and play with them with analytics software is kind of cool. Nice, Mardan. Are you using a micro warp drive? Because that's certainly my biggest bottleneck right now in my fit is running this Afterburner. Afterburner, nice. I can go 600 meters a second with a compact and propulsion mode. Afterburner is just so much tankier, and I am trying to be pretty safe. Not necessarily risk adverse, but safe. Yeah, what is my DPS? My tank on here is not great, Gitch. You know, a lot of that is just skill points, but I put out about 150 now. That'll go up pretty substantially when I unlock Tech 2. When I put together this jacked off it, you know, I know and I am aware that my tank is pretty small right now, so just kind of taking that into consideration with the activities I'm doing, I probably will change it up a bit for T1s. Yeah, that's kind of what's been working for me too. Sharpshooter, when you go through the gate, you know, lets you start applying immediately, and then, you know, propulsion to get to the next room. Yeah, the loot is really very good in here for a new player. I need 13 more Triglavian entities. Yeah, I haven't put any training into tank just yet. There are a lot of skills. You know, whenever I get another, like maybe buy a small skill injector, or you know, some of these skill point rewards, one of the things I'll need to do is just kind of sit down and start applying skill points. You know, getting a bunch of skills up to level 2, level 1, 2, 3, because they cost so little, and that'll make a really big difference if we go down the core 14, magic 14, whatever the kind of core skills are for everything. Go through those and bring them all up to level 2 or 3. It'll make a gigantic difference in terms of an initial power spike. Yeah, I hear you, Gitch. I tried to do what I'm doing now a couple of years ago, and I remember thinking, gosh, it was so hard just to make like the first couple of million to get your first ship. But you could go right into T0s and kind of get your nest egg started immediately. Which is part of the reason why the way I started this character was the $3 weekend fleet pack gives me enough Omega, you know, to play for a couple of days, try the game out if I was a new player. Also, I think just making people aware that that's an option, but the 50 plex, being able to start out with just a little bit of money so that you can kind of skip that initial period where you're grinding for ISK through career missions or waiting for the new player ISK payout at the top. Yeah, and that's a good point too on the alpha skill injectors. One of the things that I plan on doing is whenever this, I might stream tomorrow, but I might not, right? It might be Monday the next time I stream. It won't be that long. But the point I'm making is that my Omega will expire because I'm on the weekend fleet pack, and when I come back as an alpha, before I re-Omega with a weekend fleet pack or buy a month or a pack or anything like that, I would certainly be using alpha skill injectors. And I may even just play as an alpha. My thought process here is I don't want to spend any more money than you would if you were just subbing month to month. So if that's like 3-4 weekend fleet packs a month, that's still less than the cost of a sub. I know there's a lot of people out there who would want to see alpha clone to omega type of content. I think that people would be better off, playing as an alpha most of the time, doing their trading or their shipping and doing the weekend fleet pack. They really can't afford omega, but just had a browser tab crash. They can use daily skill injectors. So yeah, large skill injectors are, I'd say off the menu until we get past that alpha clone skill point threshold. How long ago did you start playing Gitch? Word. Yeah, one of the things I love about this game is I never stop learning new things. Hi VS, how's it going? Oh, that's awesome, Studebaker. Welcome to the game. I always get excited about new players in any MMO that I play. Yeah, what game did you come from, if you don't mind me asking? Man, the graphical quality of Eve has just skyrocketed over the years. War Thunder, okay. Yeah, I used to be really into sim stuff. So War Thunder, Star Citizen, iRacing. I really enjoyed flight sims and driving sims a lot. So War Thunder, surprisingly was a really good game for a flight stick, and really had a lot of fun. Oh, that's awesome, Mardan. We got a vet. I have a, 85-year-old grandfather who was in the Navy, not a computer game type of guy at all, military man. I got him on War Thunder with a $30 HOTAS. I think it was like a Thrustmaster, kind of the one that they recommend to all the new people, and he was hooked. Well, Studa, my condolences to all the time that you have just lost. Welcome to Eve. Yeah, it's really cool to see someone 4 days old. Like I think for a lot, because I've tried to get a lot of people to play Eve. I've gotten a lot of people to play a lot of different games over the years, but one of the biggest kind of barriers to someone wanting to jump in that I've seen in the past is that it's an MMO that's been around for a while. But I think Eve has done a better job than any MMO I've ever played in terms of being able to have power creep and established alliances and power figures and people with much more skill points than you, much more wealth and money, and still make it a game that can be enjoyable for a new player to get into, because it's so much of it is sandbox, and it's a game where you really carve out your own path and kind of create your own story. You get out what you put in. Ganking, missioning, mining. Okay. I like that. A lot of I was in a HiSec alliance a couple years back, and we grew up real big and imploded. But one of the things I saw was a lot of people kind of stayed in their lane. If they were a miner, they mined. If they were a PvPer, they did PvP, and that's it. And a lot of the miners really had a lot of hatred towards the gankers. But one of the things I kind of always thought in my mind is like, why not do all of it? I mean, especially if you're a miner. If I was running a mining corporation in HiSec, and why wouldn't we have ganking characters, so when other people come eating up our ore, we can go gank them and invite them to join the corp, so that we can kind of keep the resources in our family, so to speak. Uh-oh. Well, what is it that you like about industry, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, right now with the tier 0 filaments, I'm not even worried about what type of abyss it is in a T0. Especially with the Jackdaw, because we have each damage type of missiles. So whether it's a Gamma or a Firestorm, I'm just running what I have and what's dropping. We're preventing having to warp back and go buy more filaments. Trying to get this career, we're working through the career program. So I got 7 more Triglavian entities until we're done with the Abyss portion. Trying to get through that nice and quick. The fact that everything I build and you don't need, you can offload it for a profit. Okay. I'm going to try to talk about this without bursting any bubbles. But one of the things about industry that's important to understand, especially with the way the current market is that a lot of the time, if you're doing industry in HiSec, the minerals that you mine, the materials that you use to create your ships, a lot of the time they are worth more money than the output item. That being said, one of the things I talk about a lot is that Eve, the number one kind of bottleneck to things getting done is the size of space and the logistics of moving things around. So if I'm doing industry out of JITA, say I'm making T1 ships or modules, I'm actually losing money by doing the industry there because I can just sell the minerals for more money. But when you're doing industry in low-sec or null-sec, a wormhole, you have to view it as multiplied value because you're circumventing shipping and handling. And some of these spaces are more difficult than others to get things to. I think that the enjoyment that I see people having from industry is generally they enjoy the activity and the concept of mining for minerals, processing them and turning them into ships. And if that's something that you enjoy doing, there are places that there are people in places that would get a lot of value from that, especially if you can get into like a little new corporation or something. Me and my friend, I'm trying to convince him to start a corp with me where we can start recruiting new people and kind of giving them some work, because if you were producing Doctrine ships for your corporation to defend your mining stations, right? Like, not only are you making money off of the industry, but now it has a real tangible purpose. And I think that gives you a bit more like ownership over what you're doing and just kind of adds to that fulfillment of doing the activity. Yeah, the interfaces, the jobs, like the actual gameplay loop of collecting your minerals, processing them, and starting your jobs, all of that is very well built in the game. So people enjoy it and they want to do it. And the hard part, Studa, is how do you make that output item in a way that is worth more than your input minerals? Because in a lot of cases, say I'm building a catalyst right now, my input minerals I can sell for 1.2 million, and I could sell the catalyst for 900K. So it'd actually be better for me just to sell the minerals. However, if you're building that catalyst 10 jumps deep into low sec where you need it, but but you're preventing the potential loss of a hauler losing those minerals to PvP. You're now multiplying that value. I think the industry system is very, very well done in this game. It is a hyper competitive market. There is a system, a low-sec system called Baz Jaren. And one of the things I used to do would be to kill ventures who were mining out there. Not a very glorious activity, not a lot of money involved, but I would loot their wrecks and reprocess their wrecks and then build ships to go kill more ventures. So I was kind of playing like I think like an Iron Man or Solo Self-Found, where I'm building my ship off of the wreckage of my PvP kills. That was fun. But there's no money in it. Yep. So it's challenging for me because I talk to a lot of industrialists. A lot of the people I play with are, or hang out with and talk to. And it's a topic that I have to navigate very deliberately, because it can come across as me like bubble bursting. But I think really, because I have seen a lot of people do industry for years and lose money the entire time. Not that their wallet isn't going down. Their wallet's going up, but it's not going up as much as it would have if they just sold the minerals. And I think people do themselves a disservice when they do that. But granted, if you were in real life and you wanted to open up a store and sell items at a loss and you enjoyed that, then more power to you. You know, the people who are doing industry at a loss are, in a way, doing a service to the community. They're giving everyone inexpensive ships to fly. Yeah, it's value of transaction, but also opportunity cost, right? But I also will say, do what you enjoy. Have fun. There are a lot of unemployed dudes who play EVE like a go-to-work simulator. So whatever you enjoy. Now, I personally, I enjoy being able to make good money, and mostly because when I was a new player, I wanted to be able to buy skill injectors. I wanted to be able to accelerate the training of my skills. So I was focused on what are the high earning potential activities. The cool thing about what you're doing, like industry and market stuff, is it scales very well. And if you spend that time, like I said, the hard part's figuring out how to make your output item worth more than the minerals. If you spend the time and research on the market to be able to do that, there are potentials to earn vast amounts of money, but it requires knowledge of the market, capital, just like real life. So if it's something that you stick with, but you focus on making it profitable and researching the market and understanding things at that level, it scales very well. Okay, I got 4 more Triglavian entities. Heck yeah, Studa. I mean, it's something that, you know, comes with time, but I say that not to dissuade anyone from indie, but more just to say, like, that level of understanding is what's going to attribute to it paying off in the long run.
Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running.
And one thing I'll also mention, Studa, especially for a brand new player who's getting into industry, do some of these T0 Abyss. It gives you so many blueprints that the Abyssal blueprints are almost always profitable. They're good. That would be my best recommendation. Build for yourself, sell your extra refined products. Right on. Yeah, you're gonna get a ton of blueprints in the Abyss too, like where, you know, you can even just only do T0s, which are very safe, right? Do a couple, get like 10 blueprints. You know, now you got some jobs that you can do for your indie. But the beautiful thing about the blueprints you get from the Abyss is the cost of the input materials is almost always lower than the output. Yeah, certainly worth looking into. Because I totally get it. I get industry. Or I get what makes it fun for a lot of people. And the Triglavian blueprints are just really nice. I wouldn't buy them. I would just run some T0s and get a couple of them. And you know, my advice for T0s would be run something that can run light missiles. Light missiles, especially as a new player, are a very good weapon choice for application. And the reason for that is missiles don't miss. Someone can outrun a missile. Someone can be, you know, faster than a missile. A ship can be really small, and a missile could apply, you know, a very small amount of damage to it. But missiles get to their target. Lasers, hybrid turrets, projectile turrets, you know, all of these require tracking. Oh yeah, we not only can we all coexist, but we need the builders. Someone's got to build the ships. Yeah, I'm a big fan of missiles and drones, were kind of how I started. I think the my favorite ships are actually all the newest ships that they've come out with over the past couple of years. I love Edencom, I love the Triglavians, and the new Deathless Circle ships. I do think that they are very fun. The Stormbringer is probably the most fun, quote unquote, ship that I fly. Yeah, drones are sweet. They used to be a little bit better for AFKing. You can do some really silly things with drones too, in terms of bling and damage. On my main, my Gila has a pretty blingy, setup, and I've seen those drones hit 4K on a target before. Yep. Jay's got it too. I mean, Condor, Kestrel, Breacher, almost anything will do T0s. All three of those would be a good pick. And then there is an in-game chat channel called Abyssal Lurkers, maintained and run by a guy named Caldari Jones, and there's another content creator, Gustav Manfred, who creates a lot of Abyssal content. Again, the in-game chat channel is called Abyssal Lurkers. So we can get there by... How do I add a chat channel again? I haven't done this in a while. Social chat channels, right? We come here, Abyssal Lurkers. We're gonna press join. And here they have a lot of resources. They have their Discord, different Abyssal loot trackers, different websites, different fits, tools that people have made. I personally run my own fits, but this is a very good resource for a new player looking at the Abyss, or even a veteran player looking at the Abyss. I would always recommend, if anyone's doing Abyssals, they join Abyssal Lurkers. People are going to be chatting. You can go in there and ask questions about your fit. Everyone in there is really friendly and helpful. And then Gustav Manfred also has a ton of videos about the Abyss. And then who's the other guy that I like the way he does his not just the way he does his content, but he's a skilled pilot, would be Torvald Uruz, I believe is his name. Both two people worth taking a look at for Abyssal content. Yeah. I've watched a lot of Ace Face content, and I like Ace Face. My recommendations would be Torvald and Gustav Manfred for learning how to do the Abyss. Ace Face covers a lot of different fits and does a lot of things on the test server, and you'll learn a lot from him as well. Another content creator I would put in league with Torvald. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us, but he's got a lot of videos still on YouTube. Would be Hateless Gaming. He pioneered a lot of the fits for anomics or burner missions, which are very lucrative missions that you can run in HiSec, anywhere. And he would be another channel to take a look at for some higher tier knowledge. He really understood the game mechanics. Yes, that's who it was, Jay. Torvald Uruz and Hateless, probably the two content creators that I would recommend the most in terms of, the way they speak about the game. Very knowledgeable, and it's less opinion based and more factual. Yeah, they speak from experience. How much are these little Skinner things worth? 800k? It's not a bad little drop for a brand new player. Okay, I finished the Abyssal career program. So just finishing that up nets about 16 mil, plus all these blueprints. These blueprints are they're only for Decade, but I don't know how much these are worth, so don't quote me on it, but they might be worth more than the drops that we've gotten. I'm gonna mute up for a few minutes. Still be here. I gotta take a quick phone call.
Mission requested. Docking request accepted. Warp drive active.
Okie dokie. I'm back, and hey Volk, nice to see you here. I was about to go do the career missions, but I'm not really feeling that right now. I feel like those probably are going to eat up a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is start piloting out to the Bleaklands. Bleaklands is a pretty bleak place. There's a lot less activity out there in terms of other players. And once we get a couple jumps away from Jita, I'm just going to start cleaning up DD sites as we go. That's going to passively complete some of the career program pathways. And then it'll also hopefully get us some escalations or some drops. I think if I can get one big drop with this brand new character on day 2, that would be really cool. Be a quick bio, so throw autopilot on.
Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active. Approaching Stargate.
Gotta get this rack of ribs and some water. Prepping my dinner too.
Autopilot jump. Warp drive active.
What are you up to, Volk? Are you at work? I got like the working crew here in the stream. Now that we're out of the kind of Sisters of Eve area of Caldari space, the combat sites will be a little more realistic for us to get without competition. See how long it takes us to get an escalation. And I noticed my align time's kind of long, so for new players, that's important. What did we? Navigation, acceleration control, that's a good one. Evasive maneuvering, that's huge. And we're gonna slowly start just add in some of those little level 1, level 2, level 3 skill points at the top of the queue. Kind of specialize into one set. Like what I did was go Jackdaw and missiles, but then we're gonna get a bunch of the core skills that affect every ship up to 3. Later, Jake. Thanks for coming. worm here already. Landed as he cleaned the site.
Warp drive active.
This is an old head right here. 18-year-old character. Still flying a worm, farming DED green sites. We don't run burrows for what it's worth. May as well start scanning some stuff while I run these sites. I have the auto target back option turned on in the game settings. So what that'll do is when the rats start targeting you, it'll automatically target them back. So I'm focused on my probe scanning window, but my targets are going to start getting acquired. And then I'll be able to just, F1, F2, F3 on them as we lock them up. It's a wormhole, so we'll ignore it. I think actually the sites that we want only spawn in 0.8s or below. Sweet. I remember someone told me, I can't remember if it's the Blood Hideaway or the Angel Hideaway that does not escalate. The Angel Hideaway does not escalate. So this won't have a chance to give us an escalation, but they do have a chance for the commander spawn. And if you're curious what sites spawn and what systems, they have a table on Eve Uni. If you just Google Eve Uni combat sites, and that is an excellent resource. The way I scan is I just throw my probes in a pinpoint formation at 8 AU directly centered on the signature, and then I start bringing it down from there. So that barely got anything, 1.2%. I'm gonna bring it right back down the center again, hold down Alt, scroll down to reduce the probe scanning size to 4 AU. Yeah, when you are first starting out in the game, your scanning skills are very poor. If I'm having this much of an issue scanning the site, I'm unsure that it would even be a combat site. They have these sites called sleeper caches that can be very hard to scan down. It could be something like that. But yeah, we're barely getting any movement from it at all. I'll see if this gives us a better scan. My objective is to identify what it is, and if it's a combat site, I'm going to complete the scan and warp to it and complete it. I do not believe this is a combat site. So I'm warping to 0 at my next gate, but not taking it yet. I'm going to take it. If I'm still unable to identify it, I can almost guarantee you that's a sleeper site. When we have like a nice cluster like this, again, just centered, I'm doing 8, and then we'll start working down whichever one gives us the highest signal. So here we go, 32% combat site. Went ahead and dropped it down to 2 AU and directly on top. It's got a strong enough signal that should work. Not super familiar with Minmatar space, but I believe the hideout is a destroyer site, which is what we are. Yep, we're a destroyer site. So we'll head on over there. Now load explosive. I have my scan set to 1 AU. What this does for me is when I land on one of these gates, I can see if someone's already in here. Not that I'm gonna leave if there is. I will contest sites. So if they are in a slow enough ship, I'll go steal the loot from the commander spawn and just warp off. I unmuted myself over here, whoopsie. So yeah, right now, just kind of while I'm working down these rats, I'm trying to identify the other signatures in the system. They're all wormholes. Right, so we don't need to scan them all the way down. We're not looking for wormholes. But when it comes to the DD running, a lot of the efficiency comes from your travel and your scanning. So if there's no green sites in the system, I'll try to like get the probes deployed off the next gate, and so I'm gonna go ahead and reload those, and then that way I can start scanning as I'm warping to the next gate in case I see a combat site, then I can turn around and warp to it. A little pro tip, I have combat probes and core probes, 8 of each. If you have 16 of a type, it'll automatically reload them whenever you launch, so you don't have to sit there and reload them yourself. That guy's far away. I believe on this site we have to kill the drug lab. Just gonna orbit one of these wrecks at 5,000, so we have a nice stable orbit. Take a little bit less damage. I'm gonna group my guns back up. It's nice running them ungrouped, but it's so much micromanagement. I haven't done this site, so it's been a while. I think the commander spawn is a wave that can just happen, but it might be after we destroy this drug lab, or attacking it might spawn some things. We're gonna find out. Yeah, lab defense spawn. Looks like the commander spawn is not guaranteed.
A module has run out of charges.
So that's kind of what you're looking for when you're looking up these sites is, do they have a commander that spawns? Think like a boss or an elite rat. Those rats drop faction modules. And then does it have an escalation? So here's our commander. Looks like he spawns after the drug lab defense wave. So this is the loot that we're looking for. You'll see it says Angel Small Commander Wreck. That's what we mean when we say a commander spawn. And these guys can drop good modules. And then destroying that has a chance to escalate, meaning it will give me a combat site as like a, think like a mission that I don't have to go scan down. But it did not escalate. So if we get anything from the site, it's going to be from this wreck that I'm approaching right now. CCP, please. Good loot. No. but that's what we're looking for. It doesn't say he drops anything on this site as I'm reading it. So it looks like the value of the angel hideout is purely going to be in the escalation. So pop that drug lab, see if you get the escalation. Oh, this instant warp. Yeah, so once we get out of Minmatar space and into Amar space, the sites will be more lucrative. Caldari's great. It's probably the best, but the most competition. Serpentis is also great, so Galente space. And then same with Amar. I'm starting to remember why I don't know much about the Minmatar sites, and I think it was, I came to the conclusion in the past that they weren't really worth my time. And this area that I'm heading to has a what we call a high-sec island. So these are areas of high-sec that are cut off by other systems. In this case, it's low-sec. But it's relatively slow area of low-sec. So you kind of get through it easily. Thing about using these T3 destroyers is they can align very quickly in propulsion mode. So we'll get into the high-sec island. There's going to be less competition in that space, and a lot more combat sites start stacking up. Part of the combat site spawning mechanics is after you complete one, like if I were to complete this Angel Hideaway, another combat site is going to appear somewhere in this region of space. Not necessarily this system, but the region that the system is in. One big drawback that I'll say about Amar space is the systems are very large. So right now, as I'm warping to this next system, it's 29 AU away. There's systems in Amar will be well over 100. You're spending more time in warp.
Get me a new fleet. Hello.
Hey, what's up? Murdoch says I remind you of Bob Ross. What the fuck? I like Bob Ross, but I am a very
Voice, I guess.
I'm a very monotone
It's just the
person.
way you talk, man. You just got that, throw out that vibe, maybe. You're talking about on his streams there, Murdoch?
Yeah.
That's a first for me.
Soft, monotone, just kind of when you're watching it, you feel a little relaxed. And,
Oh, look at this little rat. We're just gonna give him some nice cruise missiles. Here you go.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I'm a chill person, or can be.
you're saying you're generally not.
Mm,
Are you crazy, wild?
I mean, ever since I stopped smoking weed like a week ago. I'm gonna keep up with that for a little while, at the very least. And I feel so hyperactive. Holy shit.
Oh, so how is that going, by the way? You said you were stopping because of the job, right?
Yeah, we're all good. I'm golden.
Hell yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yep, I trying to get in my degenerate gamer time while I can before I become a working stiff Rick like the rest of you.
I mean, you're working remote though, right?
No, I won't be.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, man. Like, remote work sounds great and everything, but I'm not a huge supporter of remote work for all positions. I think there are some positions that remote work makes a lot of sense for, where knowledge transfer isn't as important. Where if the work that you do is something that you can accomplish on your own in an island, where you can be effective by yourself. But I think in a lot of like team-based environments, you miss out on a lot of that passive transfer of knowledge. Like I know me personally, I would want to have that knowledge transfer while I'm working, be able to learn from the people who've been doing things longer than I have or who are better than me.
Fair enough.
But it does sound nice.
Personally, out of all my years in retail, the thought of working remote seems really good because, well, you see people, the common Joe, really at the worst when you're working retail. You'd be surprised how people act.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to me because you're not going to get treated like a human as like a retail worker. You're getting treated as a worker. And then when you're in the position of the customer, it's a very entitled position.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with like restaurants or a place where you'd see a lot of the crazy come out of people. I had an aunt who was terrible about sending food back. It was just tiniest thing could be wrong, and
So
should
when she,
yeah.
when she set the food back and it came back out, she eat it.
Dude, there would be times where it would go back multiple times, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And not saying she was always in the wrong, but it's definitely just I can believe what you say. I could see the worst coming out of people when they're in the position of the buyer. That's a very entitled position to be in.
especially when it's a membership too.
Mm.
Because people are paying to shop there, right?
Okay.
So that entitlement is
You're saying like a Costco, Sam's Club type of membership?
yeah, precisely.
Where-
And the villages does not help that at all.
Alrighty, well, I am going to dock up and take a quick break from the streaming, catch up with the boys, and I will try to get on a bit later. I
Someone was
appreciate everyone coming and chatting, and I gotta go edit up some of the titles of these videos so it's clear this is a part 2. But next time I get on and start doing some progress on the tune, I'll stream it and record it. Thanks for joining, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe, please.